Well, hello, all of my small lot farmers. This is going to be a video PowerPoint that some of you are going to be excited about, and others will probably just yawn. I'm going to show you how I build a couple of raised bed boxes today using some 2x8 treated lumber. And for those of you who just shrieked because I said treated lumber, know that today's current treated lumber is seen as acceptable with the chemical compounds that are used in it. It's not as deadly as the uh, previous chemical compounds that were used in treated lumber. So you get the benefit of not having any bugs eat it up, as well as the benefit of it not rotting out in 1 year. So what I'm going to show you today is how to build two raised bed boxes. I'm only going to show you one that I'm actually building, and then we fill them with dirt and get them ready for planting. You ready to go? All right, here we go. Okay, it's starting to get exciting. These are the four boards I brought home from work the other day. I work at a lumber yard, so I get a little bit better price probably than you will. But for these four boards, they are 2x8 eighths. I paid like $23. So if you divide that in half, $16, not 16, it's $11, $12 each for each bed. That's not a bad price when you consider that this treated raised bed will last years. I would say at least 5 years, maybe longer. So start off with four boards, bring them home, and let's get moving. Okay, these two photos are just to show you, in case you didn't know. The one on the right shows you that a 2x8, the lumber yard, is going to measure about 7.5 inches wide, and it should be almost a ½ inch long. There's no guarantee on that, but this is typical of what you'd get in a 2x8. So you see you've got a little extra, so when we cut them at 4 feet, you'll still have enough to get two pieces out of one board. Okay, we're getting ready to make our first cut. You're going to measure from one end of the board down 4 feet and make a mark at that spot. That's where you're going to make your cut. If you're cutting these boards at home, and obviously you are if you're watching this video, you're going to need something called a square to make these lines if you don't have one. It's a good carpenter tool to have around the house regardless of whether you're just a handyman or whether you're doing it for a living. If you're doing it for a living, I guarantee you have at least one of these around the house. I know this is incredibly elementary, but after you measure down 4 feet, you need to draw yourself a line. That's the line you're going to cut. So if you measured from the left to the right, you want your saw to be on the right side of that line to make sure you get the full 4 feet. Okay, after you've made your first cut, you're going to have a little bit more than 4 feet left, about a ½ inch. And that's where your next cut will go. Measure 4 foot, cut again to the right side of the line in this case, and now you'll have two 4 foot boards. Okay, here's my cameo shot, and the reason this is in here is not to show off my fine physique, which obviously left me a long time ago, but to show a couple of safety elements. One, you'll notice on the left-hand side I am wearing safety glasses in this shot, and two, notice my other hand, my left hand, is away from the cutting area. You want to be sure to practice good safety at all times. Okay, after you've made your first 4 foot cuts on your first two boards, you should have four 4 foot boards ready to go, and let's get started. Ideally, you want to have a nice clean work spot and flat where you can put these boards together. I sort of had that, as you'll see as we go through these next couple of slides. What you do want to pay attention to is the pattern. In other words, you see this, I'm butting one into the other rather than attaching it to the end. Of course, it depends on which way you're looking at it. My point is just make sure when you're putting these together that you keep the same pattern. It's a raised bed box. It's not, you're not going to get in trouble. But for aesthetics purposes, it looks nice if the boxes are built the same way. Just another shot here to show it going together. I'm working on side 3. All right, I'm already getting hot and tired out there. Actually, one of the first beautiful days of spring. I was glad to be out there. If you see my eyes keep going down, I'm looking at the picture and trying to make sure I describe it properly for you. This is me putting the last side on. I use nails for this because I didn't have any 3.5-inch screws laying around the house. Normally, I would use exterior 3.5-inch deck screws to put these together. What I had was galvanized nails, and they worked just fine. Okay, now we're moving ahead to the spot where we're going to put the new bed down. You'll probably want some help here. You can carry it by yourself, but it probably weighs 30, 40 pounds, maybe a little more. It helps to have two, especially if you have your beautiful assistant with you, and I did. What you're looking at here is you can see the other beds in the background. I'm actually replacing all these beds as part of the teaching that I'm going to be doing, showing you how I'm putting everything together. I'm rebuilding my existing beds, and I'm going to be adding some new beds. What I did here was pulled up an old bed, shoveled all the dirt out of it, leveled the spot up for the most part, so I can show you the proper way to put it back in. Now, if you're building yours on grass and you're just setting yours down on grass, that's fine. You don't have to dig all the grass up. If you are really energetic, you can. But what I'm going to show you is a method of doing this where all you have to do is build the bed, set it down, and then you can place a cardboard in the bottom, cover all the grass up, then put your dirt on top. Well, first water the cardboard, then put your dirt on top, and you're ready to plant. That was how all these beds that you're looking at in the background were originally planted. So what we're going to do next is bring the the raised bed over and set it down. Really lucked out on this one. We just happen to have some 4-foot pieces of cardboard laying around. We have a bunch of other that just laid right in there. I can't remember what came in these, but they were perfect. I laid a couple of them just so you could see how it's going. If you did not dig the grass up, it's perfectly fine. Cover all of it with this cardboard, just like you see it going on now. What you're looking at now is the box filled with cardboard. This was thin cardboard, which was good, but it doesn't matter the thickness of any cardboard you've got laying around the house will work, old moving boxes, etc. If you're laying it down over grass and you've not dug the grass up, the secret is to make sure you get all the grass covered. Lay the cardboard down and then soak it really good with a hose. Make sure it's soaked good and wet. What this is going to do is actually going to burn the grass up below it. Once you fill it up with dirt, there will be no sunlight getting to the grass below it, and the bulk of that grass will die out. Folks, it's impossible to keep all of the grass out all the time, but this does a really good job. Remember, put the cardboard down, soak it really good with water before you put the dirt in. Once it's good and soaked, you can go ahead and fill the box up. Voila! One raised bed filled with dirt, ready to go. Now, I happen to have some dirt here from last year's garden that's still good. What we normally will use is mushroom compost and plant right in it. We've not had any issues with it, and it does a really good job. When I have to add any dirt, and I will to both of these boxes before I plant, I usually just go to Home Depot and get their organic raised bed dirt. I don't know how great it is. It works. I've grown in it every year. But here's my lovely and talented assistant helping me finish off this first bed, and we're getting ready to put the second one up. All right, didn't torture you with the process of building the second box. You can see it behind it. Now I have two boxes essentially ready to plant. Like I said, I'm going to get some Home Depot raised bed organic soil to add to these just to top it off so the seeds go in something really fresh. And that's it, folks. And these two beds alone, if this is all the room you had was for two beds, one bed you can raise all the lettuce you'll eat in season. The other bed you could raise snap peas, radishes, carrots. There's a lot you can do in these two. We'll go through what your options are as we go down the road. But if you have room for more than two, then you've got a chance for an herb garden. But as we go through this, I'm going to show you. I live on 2/3 of an acre. One of those third acres is completely treed, and I don't use it. The other third acre has my house on it, a shed, and probably half of it is unusable. And I'm going to show you as we go through the season just how much you can raise on that small piece of property. There's hope for anybody. Even if you can only do one of these 4-foot beds, there's a lot of food you can get out of it. All right, finishing up this slide presentation, just giving you a shot so you have a reference of where I started this season. Folks, I didn't grow anything last year because you see that blue camper in the background. We had dreams and visions of spending a lot of time in that camper. Well, life happened, and we've gone out in it a few times, but not nearly as many as we wanted to. So this is where the garden ended last year. I'm rebuilding all the beds. These beds are about 5 years old, and I'm rebuilding them all and then adding a bunch more. So you're going to go on that journey with us as Gene and I take you on this small lot farm journey. Thanks for viewing this.